Alright, hi everybody, it's Bonkai922 here to bring you History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. Now, this one was, let's be honest here. The last 2 weeks of Kenichi were like, this one was toned down though. This was a definite tone down from the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks we had Ogata, Ryoto, Kenichi. Oh shit. It was like the last 3 weeks, in fact. The last 3 weeks have been all about that. This week, we went back to the other fights, which was not a lot. It was only 3. Now, I'm only giving this a 3.5. And the reason why? One of the fights just ended. There was no like continuation of the fight, and it was ended where someone died or anything, or it was, it just ended. The other 2 fights kind of just ended too. They weren't. Well, the one fight ended for obvious reasons, and another one ended for obvious reasons too. But the only fight that really just like had a real conclusion, like oh shit, what's gonna happen, was Siegfried against Hermit. But let's get into this. Now, we go into Renka and her fighting that, I forgot her name, the luchador blonde girl. Yeah, she does luchador moves, wrestling moves. And they're fighting, and basically in the beginning and saying, she says, don't put them on the same level as mine. And then she's like going on about the audience kind of thing against Renka. And she calls her a pervert and everything. And then Renka brings out an interesting move of her own, Hake Shato Kusho. And this one, and these members of Yomi, I'm just like wondering, if they find out that Rimi supposedly died, does it matter anything to them? No? I just wonder about that. But anyway, basically, she gets up again after that move that Renka gave her and does nameless tricks, apparently, to her. And saying that she's going to end this fight quickly because it was boring, so to speak. And then we go into Hermit and Siegfried. This was an interesting fight because I liked how it concluded. It concluded a whole lot better. If it wasn't for this fight, if this fight ended like the other 2 fights, I would have given this a 2.5 or 3. But this actually was like, I liked how, it concluded the way it did in this chapter. So basically, Hermit's saying how he understands how Siegfried was above him in 5 Kengo and Ragnarok. He says he calls him he's good and so on and so forth. And Hermit brings one move on it, Hanem, Conra, Yusho, and Siegfried saying he has to praise him, and he's saying to Hermit like that doesn't even want to acknowledge the existence of friendship. Be colored in my friendship rhapsody. He says, not even if I die. So now we're gonna have friendship now in Kenichi? Well, kind of. But that's basically what this whole thing was about. And I forgot to mention the chapter name. Let me go find that. The chapter name of this chapter was End of the Local. Yeah, that was the name of the chapter. End of the Local. And pretty much he goes up blow for blow with Hermit, and there's this nice page on page 7. Where he gives a blow to Hermit, and it seems like it did something to him. And then we go to the other fight, Chikage against Kisara. Now, this fight, did not like how this ended. I'm not going to say it was a middle finger, but she just stopped. Chikage, she just stopped. She stopped midway. And basically, she says that it's okay, no problem. Failure is a stepping stone to success. And Freya says she can't stand watching anymore, so she goes in to try to help Ukeda. And that's when Chikage is looking at this guy who is supposedly a reincarnation of her heart. It was very weird. And it's asking her, why do you kill? Because it's my master's orders. And then we see this girl, this woman, I think she's called Fist of the Witch? Witch of the Fist? I know that's what Ogata called her back a couple of chapters ago. Called her a witch. Anyone who knows her name can clarify to me and give it to me in the comment section below if you want to do that. But yeah, she shows up. Well, before she shows up, there's a flashback of when she was talking to Kenichi, and Kenichi was explaining to her the origin of the flowers that she was looking at, and says that if one day you go back to the darkness and your heart becomes bloodthirsty again, I want you to remember about today. And then she starts crying, Chikage, and then she shows up, this woman, the Fist, and says, too bad, she had almost managed to kill all her feelings. And she says that she needs to adjust her. And before she leaves, she tells Freya, it is you who is making her suffer. Don't you understand that? Tell that boy too. And then Freya's trying to figure out what she meant by that. She means Kenichi. And that's what happened. And that kind of pissed me off. And that's why this is getting a 3.5. And this fight, we go back to the fight between Renka and the blonde wrestler. And she tells her that, since I've used these fists, that I've been training alone, hated even by my own family since I was a child. And Renka just annihilates her, gives her a huge move, Baka, Rengangeki, Sojin. And she just freaking just destroys her, like completely. Saying that, she's like telling her, oh, I'm using the training that I gained with my family, friends that I use martial arts for. With all your friends and family. And she knocks her out, she gets back up, and she says, I haven't lost yet. And then, this was stupid. This was stupid to me. Because it was just an excuse to use fan service. And that's why I'm barely giving this a 3.5. But the ending was so solid. I will say that. And then this standing there, and they're like, look, your monkeys. They're all naked, and then you saw me. How embarrassing. Oh, you saw me. I felt I was a luchador. And she leaves, and Nejima is saying, I have a bad feeling. Is Kenichi okay? And then we go from that to Hermit. And Siegfried. And Siegfried realizes that the difference in his powers to him are different. And Hermit's saying, like, why do you talk big when you lost? And he's like saying to him that this is your current limit, Hermit. And saying to him that if you fought against Kenichi now, you would definitely lose. I can guarantee that myself. And then he said, then the last thing that he says, Hermit says, I should have chosen him. Is he still alive? And that's where it ends. So, pretty much what happened here in this chapter, yeah. Yeah, I really shouldn't be giving this a 3.5. I should be giving this a 2 or a 2.5 because it was blah. But like I said, the last 3 weeks have been fucking crazy with Kenichi. So this was a good time to show a chapter that was not so good. Well, in its aspects. But overall, this was okay. It wasn't great. But I did like the ending with Hermit and Siegfried. That was a good conclusion to the fight because it made Hermit realize, oh, is he still alive? I should have fought him instead. Now, the conclusion to the fight, because that's probably what we're going to get next week. Next week it's going to be Ogata and Tanaka. That's what's going to happen. Now, what goes from here after this fight is anybody's guess. Because the fights are done. All the other fights are finished, and this is the last fight that's going to go down. So, it could be... Because there's only 5 members. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. There's only 5 members. Because when you really think about it, Rimi, even if she is still alive, he ain't fighting anymore. And Ryuto, he's gone. He doesn't trust Ogata anymore because of what he did. So they're down to 5 members, the way I look at it, to some extent. But we will see what this brings because, I mean, if Ogata doesn't, if Ryuto joins Ryo Senpaku, I'm gonna be like, damn, that's gonna be crazy. But we'll see how this goes because I'm wondering if Tanaka has the ability to defeat Ogata, if he can actually seal the deal and beat him. Can only wonder about this. Can only wonder. So, yeah. But that's what I got for you guys. Yeah, this chapter was okay. It was just, 2 fights were no-shows. Well, I won't say no-shows, but they were ended prematurely to some extent. They were ended prematurely, So, yeah. That was the whole bit on that. But I like the conclusion between Siegfried and Hermit. So that was a good thing to do. Good thing to bring up. So, yeah. And we'll see how it goes. Because, like I said, Ogata, Tanaka, gotta wonder. You gotta wonder what is going to go down with those two. Gotta wonder. But we'll see. This has been Bonkai 922. I'll see you guys later. We'll see what happens next week. We will see.